Uh, my name's Colonel Rich Mendelow. I'm a United States Marine. I've met many of you, and it's an absolute honor to be talking here with you today. I wondered over the last couple days what would be worth saying in a place like this, and especially when we're going to be walking through the cemetery later. And the question that I asked myself is, what would the men who died here want to say to us? When we walk through the cemetery later, we're going to hear their voices. And I think they're going to say a couple things. We study history. We look at the past to learn what questions to ask about the present so as to better understand the future. And that's why the left is so dedicated to having us not ask questions about the past and rewrite the past, because that makes anything possible in the future. So whatever the left wants us to do, we have to do the opposite, which is why we're standing here asking questions about the past. And so I have 3 observations about the past which I'd like to share with you, and then a conclusion. First, Hitler came to power in January 1933. He started building Dachau, the first concentration camp, in March of 1933. He knew exactly what he was doing. Neville Chamberlain, when confronted with Mr. Hitler, thought he was a nice man. He tried to appease Mr. Hitler. Lesson number 1, you can't appease evil. 65 million people died in World War II. Lesson number 2, when the men attacked this beach willing to sacrifice their lives in the clash between good and evil, they still knew nothing about the Holocaust. The Holocaust, which would claim 12 million Jews, gypsies, and others in concentration camps, did not impact their willingness to die. The conclusion that I have is evil is always worse than you think it is. My third conclusion comes from my experience last summer as an on-scene commander for the KC-130 crash in Mississippi. On July 10th at 3:50, a Marine C-130 carrying 7 crew and 9 MARSOC raiders opened up at 20,000 feet just west of Greenwood, Mississippi, and all 16 died. Last month, in July, we had the 1-year anniversary where family members were invited to come and see where their loved ones died and where we found their bodies. 206 people showed up. So for 16 servicemen, there were 206 people. That's about 13 for each person. So the 150,000 men that hit these beaches had 2 million people at home loving them and holding their breaths. The 3,700 casualties who were killed or injured on these beaches had 48,000 people at home. When you add teachers, friends, coaches, those producing the weapons that they would use, those who would be impacted by the outcome of this battle, you approach the population of the United States. If you add to that those who were in the concentration camps and threatened by the future evil of the Nazis, the number becomes inconceivable. The conclusion that I have, there are no bystanders in the clash between good and evil. So, number 1, you can't appease evil. Number 2, it's always worse than you think it is. And number 3, there are no bystanders. I believe Edmund Burke said the only thing required for evil to triumph is that good men do nothing. What we understand is that is not an option. In our lives, wherever that takes us, whatever that may be, using our resources and talents, each day we make choices to stand against the evil. We will not wait for our government, whose hands we tie. There is no top-down solution. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it hates those who speak it. It's up to us, one day at a time. Thank you very much.